Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 3 of the Super Sunday podcast. Now, today's episode is with a guest called Ellie.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Eleanor Sangan. I went to university with the lovely Ethan and also Curtis that has been on a few episodes. I have my own podcast, going to self-promote.
Yeah, do it.
Going to give that promo. Listen to it on Spotify. It is called Lamborghini and Lectures. I always get the title of my own podcast wrong. And yeah.
Cool. I'll leave a link down to it in the description anyway, because we're doing an episode over on there straight after here. But this week's episode is in regard to a more current situation that's happening around us. Something that both me and Ellie have been affected by ourselves around our degree. And we're going to talk, we'll go chronologically, we're going to talk about the whole uni experience, but more so about the world current event that massively affected us.
Yeah, I feel like as much as we could talk about how great our university experience was for the first 2 years, I think the third year for us especially has been massively impacted.
Yeah. 100%. And like everyone this third year, everyone's gassed. You've got final project, this was like the most captivating year of it all, the year that matters the most. And it's the year where you set yourself up for the future more so, I'd say, than years 1 and 2.
We wanted to be in interviews by this point and doing things that mattered to us. And especially I felt like, I don't know if you did, but my third year modules were so much more interesting than any of the other years that we've done.
Oh, 100%. I've learned a lot more like about myself and I seem more like knowledgeable and a lot more well-rounded as an individual to do with drama itself, rather than like critical histories in first year. We never took anything from that apart from how to write.
I think when you get into third year, you have this complete shift and you sort of know exactly what you want to do. No matter what course you're on, if you're on history or whatever, you know which aspect you really enjoy the most. And I think especially with drama is you develop all these skills and then you go into third year and you get to choose your modules and you're like, wow, I know exactly what I want to do. And I mean, for us, it was like we had this amazing first term. I would say the first term was one of my best times at university. I don't know if it was for you.
Yeah.
And then the term was awful.
I mean, we couldn't do much about it, and I understand as well, the uni had to adapt as quick as what we did. And it wasn't easy. How many students are on a course? 120?
I think so. And then overall, I think it's like 400 in every year.
And like every student probably just sending emails day in, day out. And it can't have been easy for them. And so credit where credit's due. They did get it sorted, but it was tough. It was a tough transition.
I think it was quite a scary period as well because we are a full contact sport. No, we are like a full contact degree. So when we did final project, which was basically like our end of year show, a lot of us were doing a lot of physicalized pieces, meaning we were touching each other and we didn't know whether or not we could rehearse. So we were getting told one thing and then we were getting told something completely different. And it was the kind of like, we were all in a state of duality, whether or not we should go to rehearsals or if we should just stay at home, and we all just didn't know what to do.
And I don't know if this was the same for your group, because just to give it context, so our whole year was split into 10 groups of like 6 and then a couple of groups of 5 or 4s. I'm not sure on the maths of it, but essentially the way it worked, I don't know if you're the same, but we found it really difficult to work from home as a collective.
I think the worst part was that everyone was either moving home or moving out of spaces that they weren't originally in, and then trying to put on a drama performance in your living room.
Yeah.
It's gonna look great.
I mean, for my post-dramatic piece, which was then meant to be group but turned to solo, Anna Shear wanted me to paint my kitchen white.
What, paint your family or your student kitchen, which you're not allowed to paint, white?
Yes.
I heard that I mean, this is a bit off topic, but I heard that she, as a marker, was quite harsh. Like, you can't paint your entire kitchen. It is either a house or a family house.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing as a whole that maybe lecturers didn't comprehend, the fact that we were working in student houses and we can't just take a bed apart to make more space for physical theatre, or we can't paint the kitchen to create an atmosphere for the piece, or we can't change the colour of the lights because it's just we're not on these fancy houses where you can just press a colour on your phone and it changes everything red. Or
I know what you mean, but it's like because we're on such a creative subject, they sort of think that we can get creative with everything that we do. But there's limitations when you take it from a stage setting where you've got a lighting team, like we have an entire lighting team at university, or you have everything that you could possibly need in a warehouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go back to your own homes, and a lot of people can't afford to spend money on costume set and everything like that, and move all of their stuff around. And it was this expectation of greatness in such a harsh environment, and I don't really understand why they wanted us to go with it. Did they want me to just like throw all of my stuff away and just live in nothing?
Yeah, and like some expectations, and I think they were always going to ask us, a lot of us, like we are third years at the end of the day, and I know from the scratch nights that we did to get feedback on the piece, a lot of expectation was built up to see these great, big, amazing shows that we, over the collective 3 years, have learned as a individual to put together collaboratively to make a performance.
I agree. And I think if we had been able to put it on, we would have probably all achieved what we wanted to achieve. But the problem was that we had to make basically a film.
Yeah, that's what it was.
None of us are editors. None of us did media. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And uploading an hour-long document on computers that aren't functional for that. It took us, I don't know about your group, it took us literally 7 hours to upload it.
Yeah, I think we started 10 o'clock so the day we had to upload it, the day before we started like 10 o'clock at night, and it was ready for submission 10 o'clock the following morning.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was brutal. It actually really scared our group because we kept thinking, like, what if we can't upload it? Like, what if it just breaks midway through and then we're like stuck?
Yeah. Did you do yours as a YouTube or just as a OneDrive file?
We originally did it as a OneDrive file, but then, I mean, please do not send people to go watch it. It is awful. But we did put it on YouTube, and it is probably, I know my group are proud of it, but it's probably one of the worst things I've done at university.
I mean, let's retract that statement and throw back to our first year annotated performance.
Okay, no, that was the one. Okay, do you want to explain what happened with that? Because that was bad. That was poor.
I mean, let's just give it a bit of context. So in our first year, this was the first performance piece that we, as a year, got told to do. It was a core module. This was the first performance piece ever that we'd done. The first time working with each other, and basically an annotated performance is where you're performing, but alongside you're telling the audience where you got your inspiration from, you're explaining your process, maybe throw a couple of quotes in there just to bubble shit, basically, you know what you're doing.
It's one of the most boring things you'll ever have to do in your life because, I mean, we didn't know anything. We were like little newborn babies going into it. And then we decided to go for this angle of like gay rights or something, which is great. And I love it. But the problem was that we had one person that knew a lot about it. And then us lot that were kind of clueless, kind of just going, I don't know what to do.
I mean, what we made was, I don't really remember a lot of it. I just remember, I think there's a photo of us still knocking around social media from first year performances in all the different LGBT coloured tops. That
we got from Primark.
Yeah, and they were all extra large because that's the only size they had in every colour.
I've still got the photo if you want me to send it to you.
Yeah, send it, and then I'll get permission from the others before I clip it. But if I clip it, I'll.
See, the weird thing is I've not worked with any of you lot since, other than Sally, who was in our group.
Yeah.
We, in our course, it's just so different every single year. I met people that I never knew every single year. It was very weird.
You say that, but apart from final project, I've always had Bailey in my class.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I never had him, other than that.
I did my second year annotated performance with him.
How does that go?
It was all right. We got, well, I'm not going to specify names and who got what, but two of us got 69% and the other two got 58%.
Oops.
And it was very, the performance itself was good because we were questioning what is performance, like differentiating between an active performer and then like spec authorship and you know, just messing around with concepts and trying to confuse audiences to think more about drama, because I think that's one thing that a lot of people do. If you don't do a drama degree, you don't appreciate drama itself as a subject.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of people have the stigma that drama is very Shakespearean or very old worldy or very boring. And when they watch something like Frantic Assembly or Deviate, that they go, oh, this is interesting. And you're like, yes, because that's theatre. This doesn't have to be in one category. You know, we have things like art house performances that are almost art installations, all the way to full naturalistic plays. You know, there's so much variation. And I didn't realise it because I didn't do drama at A-level, or I only did it at GCSE. But there was just so much variation between what a performance could be and what it actually is, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%. Like, drama just isn't a 2-act play read off a script by a group of 5 performers. You know, there is so much more to it than just reading or performing. Like, you know, and we've learned that a lot. I think that's one thing that we've covered a lot. Different types of theatre, different types of you know, genre, style. We've watched performances of silence. We've watched performances of, well, post-dramatic theatre was in, we watched a performance where a guy was urinating on stage.
I don't get that. Like, I don't get a lot of post-dramatic. There is sometimes that I think that I'm too literal in most of my world, because I sit there at these art house pieces. So there was one where this woman was painting just like with red, kind of like red paint, like blood. It looks like blood, but it's not. And she was just painting hamsters over and over again. And I was just sort of there like, that looks really boring to me. Like really I didn't get it. I don't get it.
It's performance art, isn't it? Like an artist, Marina Abramovic, who stood there for like 24 hours and had a table of 50 tools, ranging from feathers to a loaded gun. And she let the audience do whatever she wanted without anyone intervening. Like,
see, I would be far too scared that someone would just pick up that gun and go straight for it. I mean, oh, no, not my kind of thing.
But and people will go, what the hell, how is that drama, how's that performance? But then they don't realise that because it's got them questioning, that is actually a performance that's made them think, how is this drama? Or like, it's so broad at the end of the day. Like, someone will tell you that walking down the street with an umbrella is a performance.
See, I really love that about theatre, and I think the best theatre is ones that impact you afterwards. You know, sometimes you see a performance and you go, nah, it was all right, and then you never speak about it again.
Yeah.
But there is sometimes performances that you watch and you just can't stop speaking about it and things about it. And I find a lot with James Rowland, who follows me on Twitter. So James, if you're watching, hi. He actually messaged me on Twitter, which was great. So that was really fun. But he's a storyteller, in theatre, and he tells stories about his loves and his exes and things like that, but he's all comedy throughout. And I think what affected me so much is that you don't want him to end. So as much as you've been there for like 2 hours and he's just been on his own talking, you don't want him to stop, because even though you know that the story's finished, you're like, I want more. Like, you're so entertaining that I want that more. And I found a massive affinity to storytelling, theatre, through him. And all of the performances that I've done storytelling in have been a first since. So thank you, James.
Let's move on to memorable performances. What is, I'm not going to get you to name one, but like top 3 performances that you have seen live or a recording of that you've just gone mad.
Beautiful Burnout by Frantic Assembly.
Yeah.
Insane. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen a lot of their stuff, but I'm not sure on.
It's about boxing, and it's about by the end of it, he gets brain damaged and knocked out. It's just I saw it live, and it's just a stunning, like, you know what Frantic Assembly are like.
Yeah.
They're flawless. So I would recommend that one. Also, I guess this is so typical, but Curious Incidents of the Dog in the Nighttime, when I saw that was so good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that one. But...
Yeah, I've seen that live. I went to see that on a school trip.
So did I. I think that was like a rite of passage, wasn't it?
Yeah, like you went to go see it. If there was an English trip, it was either to see A Streetcar Named Desire or Instant Dog in the Nighttime.
Well, Curious Incidents of the Dog in the Nighttime I thought it was fantastic. Like, I thought the staging of it was really great. And then, I don't know, because I would say, okay, I'm going to say I don't want to swear, but that is the name of their title. There's something Shakespeare. It's like
Yeah.
Shakespeare, and they basically do drunk versions of Shakespearean plays. And that was, I did you see it this year?
The L Pack.
Yeah.
It was so jokes.
It was so funny, but I know it was staged and they weren't that drunk on stage, but it was just the whole way through, it was just faultless. What about you?
I mean, in terms of seeing something like that blew me away, that shocked me, have you seen Third Angel, All the Things I Heard About the World?
I've seen clips. I've not seen the whole thing.
Yeah, so basically, to give context, they cover 7 topics. They have first act and second act, traditional theatre, but they cover things that guarantee you will not know about the world. And it just gets you thinking, like, mad, do these things actually happen? Like, just for an example, they talk about Israel and how families listen to a radio channel of silence. But not now, Mum. Now is not the good time for a FaceTime call. Basically, they're talking about a radio channel in Israel that families listen to. On one channel, it's silent, and on the other channel, it's white noise.
Right.
So there's something there that's still noise, but you're finely tuned to it. And if you hear silence, it means that there's a war coming, there's something happening, there's something wrong.
Oh my gosh.
And families listen to it whilst eating their dinner. Just, it's always on, constantly on. But I never knew that.
Imagine living in so much fear of hearing that silence.
Yeah.
You know, constantly have something on in the background just because you are in fear of something.
Yeah. I mean, I could never comprehend, because I've never been in that situation myself. But that was a solid performance that I've seen. Secondly, Frantic Assembly, Things I Know to Be True. That was incredible.
Yeah, that is so good.
I've read the script, and then I borrowed the script from someone off our course, and then went to see it. And again, I just sat in silence. Like, I didn't say anything. I just watched it from beginning to end. And then afterwards, I just needed like 10 minutes to comprehend what had happened and what I've just seen. And that's one of the shows I've seen that starts right from the get-go. Like, the tension, like the build-up, it's constant all the way up. There is no poetic element of like a pattern of story, I would say.
Would you say that you prefer something that is a bit more direct then?
Yeah, 100%. And like, that's my style of theatre. Like, did you come and see my solo performance?
No, I'm sorry.
That's
No,
okay.
I went home. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know a lot of people because we did it around Christmas time and we were basically there till Christmas Eve. Like a lot of people, and I know people went home. But my solo was a performance art piece, but just got talking about what made people think of like a symbolism of colours. So what you think of the colour yellow will be a lot different to what the person next to you thinks of the colour yellow.
Yeah.
But ultimately, because there is no relation of meaning, what does it actually mean? Like, what does the colour yellow actually mean? And it's like, it just takes away the point of colours pretty much. So I like a lot more direct and think.
See, my solo was very direct, and it was just. Did you see mine? Probably not.
No, because I hadn't come back yet. Or you were one of the delayed ones.
See mine. It's fine that I didn't see yours because you didn't see mine. I did all about women's body count, and how it shouldn't be demonized in society. And I gave everyone stickers, and then I just started talking about a story where I lied about it to an ex, and how I had to keep lying on top of the lie to keep the lie going, and how many lies were on top of that lie. And it was all comedy and funny. But the point of it at the end of it was like, you don't need to lie, but we as a society shouldn't pressure people to feel like they have to. You know, a woman should be glorified just as much as a man through whatever they do. Be it with relationships or partners, it doesn't matter. And that was the whole point of it. And you know, I did well on it, so.
Yeah, I did well on solo. I think with Shuri, everyone did well in the sense of that.
No.
Well, I know of a couple people that weren't happy, and I know a couple of issues that were had during the performances, but I was happy anyway. And you were rewarded for the work that you put in, pretty much.
I would say that with our degree, there is a lot of time that you don't need to be there if you don't want to be. And we're sort of given at degree level the free option to either turn up or not turn up. And some classes you can leave halfway through. And solo was one of those ones where we weren't watched consistently and people did halfway through. And I think it does show in your work. It shows in your output. If you want to be there and you're really interested in something, you will do well, especially in theatre. But if you are completely just not there, even if you're the best actor in the world, I don't think you do very well. Although saying that, I have seen some people try to act and have done so much work on it that they just can't act. And I think that that's one of the differences on our courses, that if you've got it or you don't.
But in terms of theatre, it's not just always about acting now, because obviously we've had modules in stage combat, we've had modules in tech theatre, we've had modules in writing, playwriting. There's so many more elements than what is dead front of a performance.
I would say that is true, but there is so many options that we had, especially in third year, to act if you didn't want to, or if you didn't feel comfortable to act. There was things like directing. There's loads of other options that people had, and some people chose to do acting modules, which is very interesting because a lot of those people, I would say, would be better suited to other roles in the theatre. And it's hard to, especially, I did a course called naturalism, and naturalism is basically just sitting and acting natural, be natural.
Nice.
So, but you have like a scene, and it's like a 15 to 20 minute one. I mean, I got a 93 on it, so clearly I can. But you basically just like read a play script. So a lot of people did things like All My Sons, if you know that play, things like that. Yeah, and then you've got to act natural. So like if you're, you know, licking a lollipop, lick it naturally. You know, it's just all the isms that you have as a person, rather than just going and standing like that and going read line. It's like, how would you sit? How would you chill? You know, how would a normal person do it? And a lot of people struggled with that. And I think people struggle with it because they get in their own heads about what is natural, because they don't they don't believe what they're saying is true. And when you're trying to get into the mindset of someone that acts or some as a character, you need to actually fully develop that is now your thought process. So whatever line you've got, say if your line was like, I want a cat, right? And you hate cats in your normal life, you've got to try and convince yourself in your mind that is the one thing that you actually really want, and that line comes to you naturally. It's not a line that you've been given, it's something that you just think.
Yeah, and it's very hard to be yourself on stage anyway, and to make that jump from being a character to being a performer to being yourself in a naturalistic way, I imagine to be quite hard.
No. I think naturalism is just one of them things where it is just acting at its purest form. Like if you ever wanted to do TV, if you ever wanted to do anything like that, that's just what I mean, I guess EastEnders, but like that's a heightened naturalism. But you've just got to be able to do that. And it surprises me that a lot of people struggle with it, because I keep thinking, well, how do you think that you'd get casted? Because you need to get into the mindset of anything. You know, you need to be able to put yourself, you need to read a script in 3 seconds and then go, okay, I've got who the character is. I know who she is. I'm now going to present that. And you've got no time to do it in. So how come after 3 months you still couldn't produce that? Do you know?
Yeah, I think that we've seen some elements of that throughout many shows anyway. I'm going to throw it back to a performance we saw in first year. I think it was first year at Pop-Up Roundabout.
Oh, God. Black Mountain.
Black Mountain, yeah. I'm not gonna say too much because if people want to see it, it's still going around. It's still touring.
Is it?
I think so. I'm gonna Google it.
It's because I saw the company again this year, but I don't think they're touring that show anymore.
What did they do?
They did one about social media and losing a job in the workplace.
Black Mountain.
I know what theatre group it's by, but I'm not saying it.
Yeah, I'm having a look now. They did one this year, one event in 2020.
Yeah, the problem that they had is that I didn't like their script. That it was very it was very easy to work out. It was like a murder mystery, I would say.
Yeah, sort of.
It was a murder that was about to happen.
Yeah.
There was a lead up to it, and it was like, oh no, there's an ex-wife and there's a girlfriend, and oh look, they're plotting to kill him. And it was just like, oh god, like, wow, you're so inventive. And then the acting on top of that.
The accents.
They clearly all weren't from the same place. We're trying to act like they were all from the same place. But
I mean, I'm gonna say they're doing a lot more now. They've probably learned from it and moved on. And I think as an actor or as a director, you're always going to have bad performances. You're always going to have to learn from it and move on. And it's a learning curve. And so many times have lecturers on our degree gone, this is what you learned from this, or what did you take from this, and how can you put it in future performances?
I think a way to make our degree a bit more fair would actually be to put it on multiple times. I know things like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, they did multiple different shows because it was a public kind of show. They got paid for it. It was more, it was more like an actual show, I would say. I didn't do it, but I know people that did do it, and they didn't get graded until their 3rd or 4th performance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was early on, yeah.
But it wasn't their first one. It wasn't their first run through. And I feel as though on our course, it would be nice to have a similar thing on all modules, because your first performance might not be your best.
Oh, 100%.
If you did, like, you'd be great. I think in final project, it was really shocking that we'd only have one run through of it.
Yeah, and I think I would have liked more scratch nights and probably maybe a trial, I don't know, just to have 4, 5, 6 people just to watch it from beginning to end, and just have, because I know you have dress runs, and I know in first year, I don't know if you did this because you're a joint honours, aren't you?
Yep, I am.
Did you do theatre and performance making too with the final first year performances?
No, I didn't do that big timepieces or anything like that.
Yeah, timepieces. Big up Michael Pinchbeck, who might be coming on Super Sunday podcast. So we'll have to wait and see. Possibly, yeah. We just have to wait and see. We just got to wait.
I love Michael Pinchbeck. I didn't realise he was famous until
Yeah.
I started watching him, and I was like, "Oh, you're actually famous," and I was really rude to you in the second day. I'm really sorry.
But yeah, it's been everything over our 3 years. And what we've learned and what we're going to take from it has just been completely thrown by this current event. And now we're here. Is there any tips that you would say to anybody now who's struggling to make theatre or struggling to create or be creative, what they could do in these current times to get pen to paper or actions to the floor and just try anything?
Yeah, I would say the first thing comes with having an idea of what you want to do. Even if you can't produce it in the scale that you want it to, it is worthwhile just typing it up in your laptop or writing notes down, because this isn't going to last forever. There will be a point where you can pick your pen and paper back up and actually produce something. And even just recording things in your home, it might look silly, it might look awful, but if you just record yourself saying a monologue that you want to say, doing something you want to do, and just save it, and then later down the line, if you end up, if you're at university, if you're first or second year and you know something that you want to do for your third year, this could be useful for you. If you're someone that wants to get into theatre afterwards, just start thinking about the process and the steps that you want to get to achieve what you want to do. I mean, I wanted to do producing in houses, but unfortunately a lot of them are shutting down. But what I'm doing instead is I'm emailing them and saying, hi, can I be a production assistant for you online? As in, can you give me any training for free? And I will not get paid or anything like that, which is not great for me, but at least it gives me a step in the right direction to know what I could do when this is over. And I think anyone that is going through this just needs to remember that it is collective, and there are people that would love to have like a FaceTime call with you to talk about theatre. I mean, we're literally sat here talking about how much we love theatre, and there is so many people that would absolutely just love to do an online show. So just find people that you connect with.
Also as well, you could happily do a solo performance.
Yeah.
I know you had something along the lines, didn't you? Did you have
I got a first on that as well. Yeah. I had date night, which I did, which was on Zoom as well. And I asked them to get ingredients. So whoever went to watch it, which is quite a few people actually. I think 15 people ended up watching it, which, I mean, it's a 15-minute performance each. So it took me about 3 hours. And I asked them to get foods, and I gave them a menu. And then we ate food together, and I spoke about dating, and I acted like we were on a first date. And I sort of talked about how awful dating is for women and how sometimes they feel pressured and stuff like that. But it was all comedy. Again, I think my version of theatre is very comedy central. I know yours isn't massively rooted in comedy, but mine is.
I just think it's like comedy wise, I can put my hands up and just say it's not my forte. Like I can misread things, I can mistake jokes. I'm not the easiest at reading or seeing comedy, because it can take me a while to process it, or to like find the right tone to say a line in, or timing has to be pin perfect with comedy. Like the butt of a joke has to come at the right point, otherwise the whole previous joke will fall. And I'm just not very good at it.
You have to be really likable to make people want to laugh at you.
Yeah.
Because if you're so boring or just like detestable, then no one's going to find your jokes funny, even if they do land. They're just going to be like, oh, cool.
Well, that's one thing as a performer you've got to be prepared for, is people, A, not to like what you do, but also B, love what you do, and you will always get feedback of, this part was really great, however, I didn't get this part, or I really didn't like this and this, however, the concept you've got is great. And like, that is one thing our lecturers have done. They've always constructively criticised us to make us better. And if you're going out into the big wide world of acting, you have to be prepared for critics and for positive comments.
I think what you have to differentiate between in yourself is things that are helpful and things that aren't, but you've got to be respectful of all opinions. Even if someone says something to you and you go, well, I was going to change that anyway, I don't care. You've got to be respectful of that person, because they are only seeing a sort of surface level of what they think. And as much as you have artist integrity, which is amazing to have, don't make that who you are, because there is always, I mean, even Frantic Assembly, even massive companies will be looking for areas to improve on. So you could be the most amazing actor, the most amazing director, but you still need to improve upon your work, because nothing is ever completed in theatre. I will say that 100%. You can evolve things so easily and exponentially.
Yeah, and it'll be a constant. I think it will always be a constant. And if you will soon quickly realize what type of theatre worker you are. You will soon learn that, okay, I'm more of a director, or I'm more of a script writer, or I prefer doing this type of theatre, whether it's comedy or monologue or whatever it may be. You will soon learn that that's what you want to do. But the only way you learn by doing that is by going through the motions of finding out for yourself.
You will also find out what you absolutely hate and what you are so uncomfortable with doing. Like, I really, I detest, and I don't know why I did it in Final Project, because everyone else wants to do, detest physical theatre. I'm sorry, I don't get it. My body don't move like that. I nail most of the time.
I mean, physical theatre as a module that we've just done, it made me definitely understand it a lot more. And everyone loves Teo. Like, that man is a godsend to everyone, I'm pretty sure.
Was he your Final Project leader? Because he was ours.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
It was quite nice, but he's a very vague man. Like, he will sort of say things like, I love it, but, and you're like, oh no, and then he'll just tell you everything you've done wrong, and you're like, oh god, am I shit? And he's like, you're not shit. If I like you, if I'm teasing you, I like you. And you're just like, oh god.
He'll do that thing where it's open comments of, he'll say something and then you have to finish it off and you don't know what to say, and he was very good in first year.
He'll tell you you're wrong straight away. Like if he says, like, what was Shakespeare's meaning in this line, and you're wrong, he'll be like, wrong, you're stupid. And you're like, I wasn't expecting the question, please. Oh god.
Yeah. Because in first year we had him as he was our main workshop leader, I guess.
Yeah. And also my peer mentor, and I think he became yours.
Yeah, because I was with Anna, but then I moved because I never had a personal meeting with Anna in 3 years.
I didn't have one with Kelly after I got moved to Kelly, and then Kelly in third year went, hi Eleanor, it's been 2 years, are you okay? And I was just like, yeah, I'm fine.
So,
what did you do mentoring?
I mean, mentoring was, I did a couple and I did find them useful, and like, I've always been someone who struggled with writing more than practical.
Yeah.
And they were useful at times, but I felt like it was more of a counseling session, like more, tell me about your experience, what's going good, what's right, what's wrong, how are you feeling, what is stopping you from doing so and so. And it's like, now let me tell you a story. Okay.
Oh wait, no, is that wait, about the peer mentoring? I was like, okay, tell me the story. I felt like with Teo, especially, he was very all about your feelings, or when you're in peer mentoring, which is fine. But we'd always smoke a cigarette together, and he'd always be like, so how are you feeling today? I'm like, great. Like, can I say anything but great? Because I don't really want to talk to my lecturer about anything serious. It's a weird relationship that you have, and I was going to ask you about this, is that you go from school and having such a distance between you and a teacher that when you get to university, when they sort of treat you more like an equal, it's hard to know where the boundaries lie, especially with jokes and comedy and things like that you can say during lessons. And sometimes we can cross the line by accident because we're sort of like, you're very unsure where your line is.
Yeah. See, like, it was different for me in the sense, so at GCSE, you can't call a teacher by their first name. You can't have general conversations with them unless it's permitted by a class question, or they call you in to talk about homework or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But then in A level, you can start to call teachers by their first name. You know, you're wearing your own clothes, you're becoming more comfortable, and you can start to have more private conversations with them, but not in full detail as you could, like with one of your personal tutors. Or like, I feel like every lecturer we've had, from Wes, Jackie, Teo, they are all, you can happily have a conversation with them about anything.
Yeah.
From, I don't know, theatre to games to like coffee or smoking or sport or reading or whatever it may be. You can cover anything with them.
I think you can cover anything with them, not during lecture times, because sometimes you can make a joke with certain lecturers and they'll be laughing along with you, and then they'll get annoyed that you've taken away time from other students, so then they'll instantly bite back at you, and you don't feel ever told off. I never felt told off during lectures, but I mean, some people did, but you kind of get a sense of like, I'm taking away from someone's learning experience now I need to be quiet. And it's a very big maturity that you sort of like cultivate yourself, is you really to be in work mode and when to be in like complete and utter like it's fine mode. Because anytime we have a cafe in our I guess drama centre.
Yeah, I guess it's the Lincoln Performing Arts Centre, isn't it, the LPAC? So I guess like it's a complex of theatre to a cafe to work studios to.
You have different spaces where you can see your lecturers' different elements. You know, if you're in a cafe and you see someone like Wes or like Teo, you can have a chat with them about anything because they are open to talk to you. As long as they've got time, they will talk to you.
Yeah.
And they do that. But then when you get in a classroom, it's more, can we talk about the work, or we're going to have a bit of a joke, but we're not going to have a massive joke now because I'm trying to teach you, like at the end of the day.
So I remember coming from, did you ever go to the directing workshops that were like 6 till 8 at night that Wes ran as an add-on? So I went to one of them workshops where he was helping us. We did 20 minutes of directing. He gave us feedback. It was fine. And then we just found ourselves walking the exact same way back home. Mm. But I wasn't going home. I was going to this drinking festival that was in the building next door to Toby Carvery. And you got to try all these different alcohol. You get to try, like, you know, you get feedback and then read something. And then it was all kind of like a part of the performance and selling point of, like, you got your ticket from the LPAC. And it was a clever way of marketing. And Wes came in with me, followed by Karen, Dom, Rachel, and Ananda. And we were all just drinking together, reviewing these beers and talking. And I was like, you know, Karen asked me about my tattoos and we were just trying to have a general conversation. And I was like, tomorrow when you're teaching me, I can't be like, oh yeah, Wes, what was your favorite beer from last night? Like, you know, it's a bit weird.
We had an end of year ball, I'd say, at the end of first year. Was it first or second year? First year, I think it was.
The one at home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got very drunk before I got there. And I was with people, I think it was second year, because I was with like Sammy and I was with Chloe, Avery. Like, I was with people that I knew. Yeah. And saw Teo there, my lecturer, and he had his housemate there, and he was like, Ellie, you look exactly like my housemate, meet my housemate. And I was like, oh. yeah, cool. So then I started hugging her and I was like, I love you. And she's like, I love you too. And then Teo was just standing there like, oh, we all love each other so much. And I kid you not, I had a massive go at Teo in the middle of home for something that he'd put on a feedback comment on on one of my performances. And he was like, fine, you're a good actor. I believe in you. And I was just like, fuck. I was like, no. Anyway, so there is a really weird boundary.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen there was like the final night out of second year, a load of them were in Keller.
Were they?
Yeah, I can't remember who it was. But yeah, it's like Anna, Teo. So they were in Keller essentially. But it's just all dependent on the environment of what you're in with them, and whether you have that student lecturer relationship, or is it more of a I know you, you know me from other surroundings, so we can happily have a conversation about open topics that won't cause any distraction or.
See, I'd like to have more of a relationship with some of the lecturers, like not a relationship, although not arguing if I did. But I'd like to have like a professional relationship with some of them, because some of their work's really, really cool. And a lot have theatre companies outside of university, and their works look amazing. So how do you think you are going to progress now after university? What do you think? I mean, I already know what you're going to do, but if you want to share that.
Yes, so essentially, so in first year I did a certificate in higher education along with my drama degree, which allows me to now go on and do my postgraduate certificate in education. So to go on to teach at Manchester Metropolitan, where I'll be doing 2 placements, 6 months each, followed by it's like a diss on it, like a minute, it's like 9,000 words, I think, like basically portfolio, where you analyze, like you just put a couple of lesson plans in, you analyze what you've done, how you could have done better, what you've learned. And it's just it's more practical to me, because I would just want to get out there now and teach what I love and teach drama. And that's like where I want to go and what I'm doing for next year.
Yeah, I was going to do production and now I'm doing a Panic Masters, which is great. I feel like a lot of people are now signing on to do a Masters because there's not a lot of jobs out there now. We're going to have a massive economic flop after this as well.
I don't want to look forward to it, because housing and jobs and getting paid, and I will come on to this penultimate topic in a minute, but the government cutting funding for the arts, it's just a nightmare.
It's going to be one of the most difficult economic times that we in our lifetime are ever going to see, I think, personally. Unless something worse happens, which I think is, but yeah, I don't know what I'm doing other than maybe a master's. Might as well.
I mean, it will always be there, and you'll always have it once you've done it, and it's not going to harm you by not doing it. Like, it'll be on your CV. You'll gain something from it, and it's definitely. The only thing you lose from it is about £9,000 because of. But hey, we're all in debt.
Yeah, but and also your maintenance loan. Oh gosh.
I know. Student finance is great when it comes in, until after you've done all 3 years and you start having to pay it back or start earning. And it's like,
an overdraft that I maxed out.
I'm not talking about funding. I don't.
I'm minus 1,500 in my overdraft at the moment.
Okay.
So
I'm not that bad.
Whatever. 3 years.
I see all these people like buying cars or buying. It's like, how? Like, oh, look at me! I've just brought a new Fiat 500. It's the only car I can think of. But
or going on holiday to Thailand.
Hey, that we've got family out. Well, I say we, me and Curtis don't. I've got family out there, so we just stayed with them. So we didn't really pay for like accommodation or it like that.
Expensive.
Um,
Loved you alone for.
yeah, but I'm still alive.
Just.
I've got photos. I've got an experience. It's not done too bad. Student loan's not done me too bad. I've got a sleeve and a half of tattoos out of it. I've had 3 holidays and I've had many a nights out.
I've had my rent paid for, and that's it.
I've paid for rent. I've paid for rent.
My loan, we're not talking about finance, but my loan did not cover most of my rent. So I was using my overdraft for that. Woo! Love you, student finance.
I mean, it's always a question. And I think that's one thing I would give a tip to future students is just save. Because that's one thing that I didn't do and I wish I had done more. Save.
I think saving is something, it's a really weird concept when you're at university because you want to do so much. Like you want to go out every night, and we're probably the worst people to talk about that because we were out every night.
Freshers, first year, yeah.
I don't think I missed a single night out in first year.
See, I did in first year, but I didn't in second year. Second year, I was out freshers every night.
Third year was worse. I don't know why.
I've not been out a lot third year. I've done drama socials, but I've not really gone out on other nights out.
Would you recommend societies as well?
Would I recommend a society? Yes, 100%. I think that's one of the best things I ever did. And then if it wasn't for in first year, if it wasn't for the other part of the teaching that I was doing, I would have joined earlier. And I remember we were going we did the taster session together in first year, didn't we?
We did that, and then we did a night out, the first ever one.
Yes. Yeah, we did.
We really close to each other, and then we were only like 10 minutes away, so we walked together, didn't we?
Yeah.
You and your ex-girlfriend came to uni with.
Right. This is a topic that will come up in another episode because I'm going to cover like a whole video and like the whole 3 years from back to front. But that is one thing that I wish, because I think it was the first day we broke up pretty much.
Oh yeah, that was uncomfortable for me. I remember walking and she still wanted to go to the drama society thing even though you'd broken up, and I was just standing there like, hi, I'm Ellie, nice to meet you. Don't want to be friends.
Yeah, no, it's an experience and I learned it, but hey ho.
We all do stupid things at university. Date stupid people. That is the entire premise of my podcast, which you will be on tonight.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll leave a link down in the description, but you've got to be prepared to make mistakes and you've got to be prepared to learn heavily, even like from basics such as your alcohol tolerance. You know, before I came to uni, I thought I could drink a lot more than what I actually could, or I thought I would be out every night, but I just couldn't hack it by third year, you know.
Third year is the year where you want to stay in and watch films with your partner. That is pretty much sums up what there is. Yeah,
I think there's only a handful of nights out, but it's a lot cheaper to stay in with your partner and watch a film, or go on a walk with your housemates, or get your final project group over and watch a film or something, whatever it may be, than it is to go pre-drink. Well, you kind of pre and then you go to like trebles for pre's, or then you go off on a night out and then you end up at Scene and then you end up at Mackey's, and you can easily spend, I think the most I've spent on a night out is about £170.
Okay, the least I've ever spent on a night out is I made £5.
Nice.
And I usually spend a total of 0 to a £5 there. Because people just buy me drinks when I get really drunk. So, winning. That's why, get a boyfriend. Get a big boyfriend at uni.
And you're usually the ones that I end up buying drinks for, because you just make your way over and it's like, I know you, so you're going to buy me a drink.
Or I like take them off people. So I'll be like, oh, I'll talk to them for like 2 minutes and then I'll just like slowly slip a VK out of their hands.
Yeah. So
how you do it?
That's how you do it. And I've turned up to many. I remember turning up to a James Hudson lecture. I'd got in. This was back when I was a free man, we will say. We will say I was single. And I'd gotten back to my house at 7:20 in the morning because she made me walk from Yarborough Road up near bloody Bishop, back, like kicked me out like 6 in the morning. I was fuming. She was like, yeah, my parents are coming tomorrow morning, so you got to go. I was like, right. And there's no taxis because it was like, you know, that early that only those that were doing the school runs were around. So I ended up walking back and I got to mine at 7:20, steaming, and I still made my James Hudson 9 a.m. lecture.
James Hudson's a scary one as well. I remember, so there was an accommodation that was very, very close to university called Junction, which is basically opposite the university.
Yeah.
And it was Halloween, and you know who I did the one night stand with. It is one of your friends. And I was in full Halloween makeup. And I went to like leave the next day at like 10 a.m. and I had to walk through an open day at the university with full Halloween makeup on, heels on, and just me going, oh gosh, I feel so awful.
I mean, we've all done a walk of shame, you know, many of them, many a times. But
not in
you just do it as it's an experience. I'll say that.
I would say the walk of shame's a lot easier when it's in the same accommodation block. When you only have to go from like floor 1 to floor 2. That is the perfect walk of shame. The worst
I've never
one,
done that.
Side to the other side. That's the worst one.
I remember when I first started seeing a person and they lived in Junction and I had to keep walking from Junction to Courts, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah, I remember walking from, I also saw someone that lived in Junction, and I remember having to like move my stuff consistently between the two.
Yeah.
And ended up moving in there, which is the worst decision. Please don't move in with partners in first year. If you don't learn anything from this podcast, just do not move in with someone that you've just met. Do not. And I moved all my stuff in, and then we broke up a week later, and I had to move all of my stuff back out.
Yeah.
And it took about 12 trips, and Junction to Courts was not an easy road.
I mean, no, it wasn't. And I don't think I ever made it easy for myself. Because I was always like, yeah, I'll come to yours. Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
You were a bit like a puppy dog.
Yeah, because bear in mind, obviously I came to uni in a relationship, and then
instantly.
in terms of, yeah, we'll say that. Like, you know, I was still a baby in the sense that I never really had that freedom of being open to one night stands or being open to just messing around and having fun with someone, you know, because so often now it's not one night stands. It's more, I'm seeing this person for a bit, maybe spend a couple of nights with them, and then you just stay friends, or you if you can, you just keep it civil, you know it's happened, and that's it.
I think it's because people want to try and respect each other more, but sometimes you just don't want to get to know them. Like, I've had a lot of dates where I've like just went on tried to go for a one night stand, and then the guys have texted me afterwards. I'm like, no, this wasn't, I would prefer you leave me alone now. And it's uncomfortable because as a woman, being the one that's trying to like stop things, the guys just are kind of shocked at you, and they're sort of like, what, I thought this is what you wanted, and you're like, no, leave me alone.
I mean, and I think that's where half of me, I didn't want to say went wrong, but I got back into another relationship straight away because that's what I was used to. And you do stick with what you're used to and what you know and what you think will keep you happy.
Yeah, I did that in first year, and we will not mention him, but he was psychopathic to the level of like locking doors on me. And I think you fall into the trap at university that you want a sort of like a home comfort. And if you have a relationship before you go to university, when you break up inevitably, you will go straight back into a relationship because you're quite scared about being alone for the first time fully at university, because you don't really know anyone too well. You kind of want someone to consistently be there for you, and it is really, really hard emotionally to deal with university when you first get there. A lot of people go through depression and things like that, and having a boyfriend or a girlfriend there, you think it's gonna be amazing, but actually you really just need to do it on your own. Like, I would have much preferred to do my first year and a little bit of my second year on my own. I mean, not now because I have a boyfriend and I love him, but
yeah,
I would have much preferred to be alone in first year and like discovered it myself, you know?
Yeah, and it's always going to be like, I'm keeping names out of this conversation because I'm not going to publicly disclose certain people, and I'd have their permission, etc. But
Same.
there is still.
Although, go to my podcast for all their names. No, I'm joking.
Fake names. But that, you kind of led me on to the next subject there. Dealing with something at university, such as a breakup, or such as your housemates breaking up, because a couple of times in my first and second year, my housemates have broken up with someone, and it's affected the whole environment at which they're living in, and how it impacts on you mentally is quite heavily. And I don't know about you, but I found it very hard to first balance between being okay and being happy to really struggling and trying to find my feet to steady myself.
I would agree. And I would say the only thing that really at university gets you a little bit better is either taking time to go home, because I felt like sometimes I needed to have a weekend back home and see your friends from back home if you haven't made many friends at university, or seeing your friends at university and getting them to actually come over, because the nice luxury about what we are experiencing is that there is your age that can come over at, like, whenever they want. There's no parents telling you what to do. There's nothing there stopping them from coming over at 2 a.m, 3 a.m. And it is quite nice to have a support network of people. But if you are dealing with something like that, like a breakup, or if your flatmates are breaking up with things, you just have to kind of, I personally, I don't know if this is like really detrimental to my health, but I personally get stuck into work, because the more I work, the less I think about them or think about like negative things. And as long as I'm being creative, I can like kind of channel it through my work.
Yeah. And you can always use experiences to either motivate yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, so many times did I use an argument or a breakup to better myself, to be a better person, or to have a more open relationship with my mum, or, you know, just so little aspects like within my work. If I'm making, like, I use a lot to drive me forward mentally, and at times it has got me into a lot of shit, like in terms of the person I am and my ego, and the way I work and the way that I drive forward doesn't always sit or agree with people. And you have to be yourself a lot more at uni. I
think before you go to university, you are in this mindset of you've got yourself figured out. You think that you're 18 on top of the world, you've got yourself figured out, you know who you are. But when you go to university and you have to live on your own, and you have to deal with people that won't take your shit because you're in a school with them, or will just drop you and not speak to you because they don't like you, then it's such a different situation, and you really grow as a person and realize who you are, whether or not you like yourself as well. Because there's been moments that I've gone to myself and gone, I didn't like the way I reacted in that situation. And usually before university, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. But now that you've got so many people that can call you out on things that you do, and so many people that won't associate with you because of things that you do, you have more of a moral compass and go, actually, I need to reflect on that and not do that again.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is a good overall ending topic, but if you could name 2 do's and 2 don'ts for university or your degree course, what would it be?
Do get yourself out there socially. Meet as many people as you can, even if you don't like everyone. Just try and be as friendly as you can at the start. And you won't like everyone, but at least people will know that you're nice. There's always a good idea to put a good energy out. Also, do try and make it to every lecture. I mean, I know this sounds stupid, but it is something like £80 every time you miss one. And I missed a lot in second year. And when you add it up, the amount of hours that are teaching is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's so ridiculous. Don't decide to say yes to everything. If you don't feel comfortable with going on a night out with people, or if you don't, but you want to make friends, don't feel like you have to say yes. Look for other alternatives. Just because you're at university doesn't mean you have to do everything that everyone wants to do, I would say. And don't put pressure on yourself to be the best, because when you get there, you're not going to be the best in the class. You're not going to be the number one at anything you do, whether it be history or drama, but you just need to do the best that you can do for yourself, and actually take the opportunity to learn from your mistakes and actually learn something. Like, university is to learn. Don't think that you know everything when you get there. What about you?
Yeah, so that last point I think resonates a lot with myself. I would say in terms of do join a society, because you will meet so many new people. You will learn a lot about yourself, like whether it's a sport or a society of like an academic, so drama, or I know rugby is a renowned society for a lot of reasons, but it's a society that I know gets themselves out there, and that's why they are so a renowned society. They
get themselves out there with a lot of women, I would say.
I mean, that the unspoken rule, I think, is out there for a reason.
If you're a female.
But no, so definitely get yourself in a society, 100%. How do I put this don't put yourself in any situation where you are not comfortable, because I know a lot of people learn about themselves in the sense of what they can drink. And I know a lot of people that have changed during uni through smoking, drinking, drugs.
Why are you atting me?
I'm not atting you. I'm just saying, if you're not, but you were comfortable doing it. So
I was.
Which is the main thing.
Although I've given up smoking.
That's a good thing. That, like, do budget. I will say do budget. It's very hard, but do budget, from your weekly shops to drinking. Yeah.
But don't be harsh with your budget, because I feel like people put like this £20 limit on their food and alcohol use, and you're like, you're not going to stick to that. Like, make sure you put in your budget things for fun, because you're going to spend it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a don't, I'm going to say this in a way of like, it's a do and a don't. Don't restrict yourself and limit yourself to an experience of uni. So I would say do move away from home, and don't smother yourself. Like, just learn a lot as much as you can, whether it's good or bad. Like, don't restrict yourself physically, mentally, whatever it may be. Just let yourself be free and learn.
I think, going off that point, the one final thing I would want to say is, don't rely on someone else for happiness throughout university as well. Your happiness needs to come from you. And even if it's really hard to find a good time in yourself, you will, as long as you can project what you want to do. I would just say, just don't get in a relationship, mate. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
You are talking to the 2 people who have done exactly that from the get-go, from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, and have been in a relationship.
We have been serial monogamists, and it is not boded us well. Although now we're both in very happy relationships.
We are.
So, but yeah, we went through some times and learned from our mistakes because we were very unhappy.
Try and keep most relationships platonic if you can.
Yes, like our friendship.
Yes, we don't necessarily talk on an everyday basis, but we know from first year, and we know from that if we see each other in Zing or on our course or out and about, we can happily say hi, and that it is a friendship that's not been ruined by people or ourselves. Exactly,
and that is the university experience for drama students.
Yeah. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you, Ellie, for coming on.
That's fine. I hope to be invited on again. I hope I didn't mess up too much.
No, we'll definitely try and get you on again at some point. We'll sort out a new schedule, dates to upload and record, and we'll be good to go.
Brill. And I guess you'll be on my podcast in a bit, so
yeah. So I've mentioned this many times, but I'll leave Ellie's podcast Spotify link in the description.
Mention it again. Just put it as your title.
Lambrini and Lecture will be in the description down below, and I will leave a link to
social
media. That's what I was looking for. Your Instagram.
Yeah.
And yeah, if there's anything that you guys would like to know or would like to see more of, then don't be afraid to comment, and I will address them in future videos. Thank you for watching.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.